welcome to Krafty Kreations with Sandra. Today we're going to do a basic paper cutting tutorial. I'm going to show you how to use your paper trimmer and how to score your cards, all right? I'm going to be doing a series of very simple basic stamping videos so that you can learn at home what you would have learned in class if we were able to meet. Then once we are able to meet, you will be all prepared. So, we're going to start off with our paper trimmer. This is the paper trimmer that's Stampin' Up! Sells. It has an arm that extends. You just pull it out, and it extends to 17 inches. So there will be times when you will need to measure something longer. For this video, we're not going to be using the arm. We're just going to be using the basic board, all right? So I want you to notice, if you lift this panel right here, there is a ruler. There's 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, all right? And then if you notice, it also measures 1 inch this way. So sometimes when we're cutting things that are like a 1 inch strip, we want to measure on this side because then we can hold most of the paper on this side. I'll show you what I mean. And then there's a ruler along here, along the side right here. Can you see that? I know it's glaring, but there's a ruler along here. Sometimes you use that, but today we're going to use these measurements right here. It comes with a cutting blade, which is the dark gray one, this one. This cuts, all right? And it also comes with the scoring tool. This one scores for you to fold your cards. So we're going to start with an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. This is what we normally use, and then when I show you how to cut it, I'm going to show you how to cut it across, and I'm going to show you how to cut it long ways. Those are the two types of cards that we can make. So here's a card that was cut long ways. Look, you see? It's up and down. And then here's a card that, oops, that's another one. I have 100 million cards, and right now I can't find one. Hold on. The ones we made, most of the ones we made in the last class were folded this way. All right, so your card can either open this way, or you could turn it and it can open this way, either way. But this is 5.5 by 4 1/4. Or it can open up and down, and it's 5.5 by 4 1/4. It's the same. Or you could also use it this way. You can either choose to do it this way. This is portrait. This is landscape. All right? So I'm going to show you how to cut both measurements. This one and this one. All right? Let me get a piece of 8.5 by 11. This is 8.5 by 11 inches. So the first thing we're going to learn is how to cut at 5.5 on the 11-inch side. This is 11 inches, so 5.5 is half of the paper. I'm going to lift this little lever, this little panel right here. I don't know what to call it. And I'm going to push my paper all the way till it gets to this ridge. There's a little ridge. You can hear it bump. If I don't put it all the way and I leave it sideways, my cut will be crooked. So I want my paper to touch all the way to the ridge. Here's 5 inches. Can you see that? 5 inches. And here's 6 inches. Right in the center is 5.5. So I'm going to line my paper up with a 5.5. And I'm going to push it all the way up so it touches that ridge. I'm going to bring down this part. And then I'm going to slide my blade to cut. This cuts the paper in half. And you will see it's exactly 2 pieces the same size. So I just cut two card bases. I can make 1 card and 1 card. But now we need to score it. And we're going to score it at the midway point. So this, we're going to turn it this way. This is 8 1/2. So half of 8 1/2 is 4 1/4. So we're going to go to 4 1/4, which is right here. Can you see? It's right there. So we're going to put our paper in. You can just slide it in under. Put it all the way to 4 1/4. Make sure it touches all the way up before you line it up to 4 1/4, right there, lining it up. Now I'm going to lift this arm. Let me see. Can you see this arm? And I'm going to slide my dark blade all the way up because I don't need it right now. I only need my scoring one. This light one is the scoring one. So when my paper is lined up at 4 1/4, which is right here, all the way up to the ridge, I'm going to slide my scoring tool a few times up and down. When I bring it out, you're going to see that the paper has a score line. You fold it inwards like this. So the little dip is on the outside and the little mountain is on the inside. So then I would fold my card like this. There's one card. Let me review. We're going to take the paper. It's 8 1/2. We're going to score at 4 1/4. We're going to slide it under. We're going to make it go all the way up. We're going to line it up with 4 1/4. We're going to get this cutting blade out of the way. And we're going to score up and down 2 or 3 times. And you do press. All right? Because if you don't press, you won't see the indentation. So that you can fold your card. And of course, you already know you burnish it with the bone folder. But I'm not doing that right now. So out of 1 sheet of paper, I get 2 card bases. All right? We will use these 2 card bases later when I show you basic construction of cards. In this video, we're just learning to cut. So I'm going to take a second piece of cardstock, which is also 8 1/2 by 11. It's the size of a regular print paper sheet, all right? It's the same size. So this time we're going to cut it on the 8 1/2 inch side. So half of 8 1/2 is 4 1/4. We're going to slide it under. And this time, remember, we're not going to use our scoring blade. I'll call it a blade. We're going to use our cutting blade. We're going to line it up with 4 1/2, 4 1/4. 4 1/4 is half of 8 1/2. We're going to make sure it goes all the way up to the ridge. We're going to take our cutting blade and we're going to slide it all the way down. So this cuts our paper the long way. I heard somebody call it the hot dog cut. Kind of looks like hot dog buns, doesn't it? So now we have 2 card bases. We just need to score them. So we're going to turn it around, turn it sideways. This is 11 inches. So now we want to score at 5 1/2. We're going to squeeze it in under this arm, and we're going to line it up at 5 1/2. 5 1/2. If you lift this, you can move the blades and not touch anything. So I'm going to slide my cutting blade up out of the way. I'm going to slide my scoring tool up. That way I'm going to put it back down. That way I know I'm not going to cut. I'm only going to score. Double check that I'm at 5 1/2. And then score 2 or 3 times. So when I slide it out, there's my score line. Do you see it? So I can fold my card. And now I have the fold that can go either this way or this way. This is the one we cut before. It opens this way, and this one opens up and down. All right? So let's review the scoring. We're going to take the second piece. It's 11 inches. Half of 11 is 5 1/2. We're going to squeeze it in here under this. We're going to line it up at 5 1/2. There's 5 1/2. Look, there's 5, there's 6, and there's half. We're going to line it up at 5 1/2. We're going to take our scoring blade and we're going to run it up and down several times so that we can get the score line. All right? So now we have 2 card bases from 1 sheet of paper where we cut at half. This one we cut at 4 1/4. This one we cut at 5 1/2. So out of 2 sheets of paper, I can get 4 cards. Now, that's how you start cutting your cardstock for cards. Now let's say this is just a scrap. Now let's say that I want to practice cutting 1-inch strips. So I had told you that there is a 1 inch on this side, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my paper, make sure it goes all the way up, and I'm going to line it up with the 1 inch right there. It's 1 inch right here. I'm going to bring down, and then I'm going to move my blade up and down, so then I have a 1 inch strip. If I did it the other way, it would be really hard for me to hold the paper in place because I can't touch it because of this. So it's best to use this side. If I need a 1/2 inch, I would line it up with the 1/2 inch right here. Bring down this panel and then cut, and then I would have a 1/2 inch slice. I'm going to do another 1 inch, line it up with the 1 inch, make sure it goes all the way up, bring it down, slide your blade up and down. There's 1 inch piece, a 1 inch piece, and a 1/2 inch piece. All right? So one of the things that frequently happens is that we do a mat for the front of our card. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We want our mat to be smaller. So we're going to make the mat 4 inches by 5 1/4, which means it's going to be a 1/4 inch smaller on this side and a 1/4 inch smaller on this side in each direction. All right. So I'm going to measure 5 1/4. 5 1/4 is right here. Do you see 5 1/4? I'm going to line up my paper, making sure it goes all the way up to the ridge. I'm going to cut. There I have 5 1/4. Now I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to line it up at the 4 inch mark because I want a piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to cut that little. This is the 1/4. So now I have my mat for my card. Look, now I could put it on, and there would be a little 1/8 inch border all the way around. So that's how you cut the mats. Let me do one more. I have this piece. I'm going to first cut it at 5 1/4. 5 1/4 is right here. Making sure my paper goes all the way up to the ridge, and cut. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to put it at 4 inches. 4 inches is right there. Then I'm going to cut, and my mat will fit my card perfectly. So that's a simple cutting guide or a cutting tutorial on how you cut cardstock into basic card bases in 2 directions. Later on, we will learn how to use this arm. We don't need to use it right now. I would recommend that you take even copy paper and practice cutting 1 inch strips or 2 inches. Look, there's 2 inches. I'm going to line it up, make sure it goes all the way over, and I'm going to cut 2 inches. Then I'm going to cut 1 1/2. Just practice. That's all you want to do. Don't drive yourself crazy trying to cut a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. That's a little harder. If you can cut your paper in half and fold it, and you can cut your mat, that's going to be really good for you to get started. All right? So thank you for joining me in Krafty Kreations with Sandra. I will see you on the next video where I'm going to teach you basic stamping. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.